Well, here we have it 2 months later, and we have the Retroid Pocket 3 Plus model. I opted for the upgrade board purchase, wasn't a fan of forking out full price for a complete model, with the only benefits being the gibbons inside, and I guess a lot of you felt the same. But a full review and emulation test video will be shortly uploaded, where if you wanted to head straight to that video, the link will be in the description box below. In this video, I'll be showing an installation guide of the upgrade board with some tips, with further content coming. So let's get straight into this. Here we go, finally arrived after some minor postal strikes in the UK. Let's see what we have all together with the Retroid Pocket 3 Plus upgrade kit. So quite a lot going on inside here. Let's see what we have first up. Some screwdrivers, some extra screws, some things to wedge it open, and some tweezers for those fiddly bits. We got some ribbon cables as well, just in case we need to connect some other things or they get damaged. And we do have some controller boards as well, in case anything damages. And then we got that little power board, in case we want this as a standalone gaming setup. Now this is the main piece that we need, that holds the new processor and that extra RAM. So as you can see, everything is very professionally made to a high standard of quality, and that must be the vibration motor. So we must have to stick that inside the handheld itself later on. So there's not much of a difference when you see it visually, but I'm sure there's definitely going to be an improvement in gameplay when we get this all up and running. So we have the 4 screws at the back here, and we do have this T screwdriver, which is already came with this upgrade board. So very simple, let's get these out of the way. Very tiny screws, but the screwdriver that it comes with is magnetic, so we won't be losing them too much. I'll put them aside in one safe place. And now we're ready to wedge this device open with this guitar pick. Mine was a bit easier to do so because I've opened this up in the past, so yours may be a little bit more finicky. So carefully does it, and now we're inside. Well, I have to say I'm not the best at these type of jobs, but I do enjoy them. And I'm useless at soldering, but glad to say there's no soldering needed for this upgrade. Now we just have to remove this heatsink board. As you can see, this metal plate, there's just these 4 screws we have to get rid of. So now we can get to the main gibbons inside. Now this does look a bit daunting, and I would say this is a more complicated job than the RP2 Plus upgrade, but this is the board we want to replace. There are 3 ribbon cables connected to this main board, but you can loosely connect these, but I'm sure it's easier once we've unscrewed this board first. So let's do that. We have the 5 screws holding this board down, so let's give this a removal with that tiny Phillips screwdriver this also came with. Again, these screws are very tiny, and I'm really glad that these screwdrivers are magnetic, so I can just fish them out of the board, just like so. I recommend putting these screwdrivers in separate piles so you don't get these mixed up later on. Now, apart from having 4 ribbon cables connected all together, I did miss out one earlier, we do have another 2 pin connectors to the board, as well as a Wi-Fi receiver, that as you can see in the very top left. But let's concentrate on these ribbons first, now with that we got this board loosely lifted from unscrewing it. These 2 pin connectors are very fiddly, so I do recommend getting that little white tweezer to help you push these out, but be very careful, you don't want to snap at those cables. So there's one, that's the Wi-Fi receiver, just give that a bit of a yank, don't be too aggressive, and now we can get these ribbon cables out. And we also need to remove this battery, so there's another ribbon cable connected to the right hand controller port. So give that a lift, and now we can finally remove everything out. Now this battery is kind of taped down, but don't be too afraid, just give that a lift. But again, just be very careful. So this board is still connected with this vibration motor, but just give that a little peel as it is glued down with some sticky tape. And this is the new board ready to go. So we'll peel this sticky removal, and now we can place the new board in. So right where the old one was originally. So after a lot of fiddling and some bad camera angles, so I really couldn't fit this in, we managed to get this all together, but make sure those ribbon cables are already out and visible, as well as those 2 pin connectors. We don't want this board laying on top of that. So then we can get these all connected all together. So a lot of fiddling. Let's get all these pins connected and these cables. Now this one is extremely fiddly. It's only just a little bit of room to play with. But again, be careful because you don't want to snap those cables. Now after double checking everything is connected, we want to plug the battery into the main board with the final connector here. Again, very fiddly and flat. But I did check the power on. I didn't want to put it all together first to see if everything was wrong, and I didn't get anything. So I'll double check with the cables inside connected to the board. And I almost missed out on the left analog stick ribbon cable connector here. It's a very tiny one. So let's give it another boot. And still nothing. Not really sure what's going on. I've double checked all the connectors to the main board, but I forgot about the original problem when I upgraded the control boards, is the power connector to the board. Just give that an unplug and a plug and we're finally there. So here are some tips on doing this yourself. Use the tools that this came with and are recommended. Use a clean surface, some good lighting, use protective padding to lay down the device so you don't mark your screen. Separate your pile of screws to make things a bit easier to track down later on. Don't get too handsy and just take your time. And reconnect that power connector to the main board if it's not booting up straight away. There are probably some more extra pointers as well, which I am happy to hear from you lot in the comment section below. But lastly, before closing this all together, you want to keep an eye out for the R1 and R2 button, as well as the volume, home, start and select. They are placed all around the edge and they can slip out, causing the case not to close up properly. Finish off by screwing the back panel together and we are all good. Well, I hope that you liked this video and that has helped you if you also went with the upgrade board option. As you can see, it was not that very difficult. Just take your time and double check everything. So now this Retroid Pocket 3 Plus is now all together and up and ready for a review. Well, I hope to check you guys later in that video. So thanks for watching and I'll catch you soon.
Yeah.